that we have some room for improvement and collaboration when it comes to the state government. And I'm hearing things like distraction are one of the things that really takes us off of that, but focus and shared goals and purposes get us to it. Is there anything, and you're a great leader, is there anything you can do, like in your role by yourself, to start bringing that spirit of collaboration in a way that starts to spread, and what would that look like?
Well, I think so, and I think what both Clayton and Sandra talked about is this idea of setting a vision of where you want to go. And I do think priority one was 2 years ago to balance the state's checkbook, to live within our means. And now that that's been accomplished, I think this idea of, why are we here, and what do you do on a day-to-day basis, and what do you hope to accomplish? And when you look at essential state services that are provided by the government, one I would think is to do no harm, or actually maybe incent properly to grow the economy. We all can remember back to the 2005, 2006 time frame, and these were not miraculous times. These were more of a normal, robust economy, and there are things that you can do from the state government level to allow that economy to grow, to encourage it to grow, to make the state more attractive. And then the other thing, if you judge a company's priorities by where it spends its money, the state spends over 50% of its money on education. And this idea of where are we spending this money, what results are we getting, how can we spend this more effectively? Because I think you can also make the case that proper spending and investment in education with improved outcomes in the classroom will make this a better place to live, a better state to stay in, to grow in, to live in. And these are two things that government can affect, and I think they're two things that you can unify people around. Living within your means and educating our children for a better life are not partisan issues. They're American values, and there is room for improvement in both those fronts.
There's nothing like a good crisis to bring collaboration when it comes to government. So I guess the question would be, how do you get that going before you hit a crisis mode, or before you get to the edge of a cliff, or what have you? What do you think about that?
Well, when you look back on the years of the 1990s and 2000s, and hindsight's always 20/20, it is amazing when our tax coffers are overflowing with dollars, how we didn't deal with some of the structural issues or make some of the real changes. And hopefully now that we've lived through, my grandmother's still alive. She's my favorite person in my life, and I see how her behavior has been affected by the fact that she lived through the Great Depression, which was certainly much more difficult than what we've lived through in the Great Recession. But I think as we head into a better, more booming economy, and our tax coffers do begin to fill again, we will make the long-term decisions that are actually easier to make when you have money in the bank. We were in a position where there really was no good choice in 2009 and 2010. We're going into a place now, if you're reading the paper, where actually we're getting back to the fun stuff of being in a democracy, and that's arguing over where you spend the money.
Are we having fun yet? I think we're having a little more fun. People are smiling more often these days. That's always good to see. Sandra, we've been talking earlier, and we've written some stories about this too, that by the very nature of the ACA, as it relates to not your internal view of what you have to do with your stakeholders, but then working with other organizations in the community, you've had some really good success stories, and I wonder if you could share them, particularly with this morning's group with Laddie Corps and some other things like that. So you got some examples where collaboration is starting to really pay off.
Absolutely. I think in Arizona, I think it's really easy for people to come together in Arizona. I'm originally from Canada, born and raised just outside of Toronto, and when I moved here, the community here is so embracing. The people here, I guess when I moved here in '92, everyone said everyone was friends everywhere else, but it is a community that ultimately wants to work together. And so this morning we were, or I was, and a few of you here, were at the Arizona We Want event, where Laddie Corps, obviously, as you know, is leading that effort, and they released their 2.0 plan. And part of that plan dealt with, again, what citizens want in Arizona and really highlighted all of the critical areas in which they would like either state government or leaders, both business and civic community leaders, to focus on. And one of those areas was economic development and job creation. And so Laddie and I spent some time together, and they have adopted the goals that were established by our board, which was the 75,000 jobs. And so you're seeing organizations now coming together, joining, at least from a goal standpoint. They've got their own organization, they've got their own leadership group. But what's great about what's happening here in Arizona is people are coming together, and we're talking about how do we help each other achieve those goals. And so he was able to highlight today the importance of a goal like 75,000 jobs. In addition to that, we've done a tremendous amount of work with GPEC and the regional groups, and Jim's here, who chairs GPEC, and we've worked very closely with Barry. And our organizations are really working more closely together because, again, it's that unifying mission. It's what do we all want to accomplish, and ultimately what we all have discovered is we all want the same thing.